Hey guys, what's up? Today I'll be reviewing and talk about an album that I have not been able to listen to enough lately. I have been completely obsessed, and I think what I'm going to be talking about is one of the most underrated and just refreshing death metal material of all time. So, when it comes to the United States in the early 90s, death metal was really centered around Florida and New York State, but it's no secret that there were plenty of underground bands that were releasing great music all over the country. And that holds true for Missouri's mighty and influential Timeghoul. Now, this is a compilation of two of their demos from 1992 to 1994, which I'll be reviewing. So, this consists of 6 songs, the first 4 being from the first demo titled Tumultuous Travelings, and the last 2 songs being from the demo titled Panoramic Twilight. And let me just start off by saying this is the only studio material Timeghoul has ever released. A simple 6-song set, which makes up their discography. But these 6 songs on this compilation are better than bands' entire discographies. So let's get right into this. Now, Timeghoul plays a very unique style of death metal. They combine elements of atmosphere, melodic tones, and also, of course, sheer brutality and aggression that when they mash together, it just creates some of the most complex and interesting songs in death metal. Now, the first demo, Tumultuous Traveling, starts out with the song Rain Wound. And this is the ideal song to set up just a band's catalog and an entire album. It's absolutely pummeling and phenomenal. My favorite thing about the song is like the whole intro and how it's set up. It starts off with some really slow and just brooding, evil and mysterious chords, followed by a cool guitar lead where the guitar is turning on and off its volume really rapidly. And then after that, it goes into a guitar riff and a blast beat. And it's a really chaotic sense. Everybody's kind of playing their own thing. But then there's a little drum fill and a huge slide, and the band just explodes and all comes in with their energy. And that, to me, is just when it hit me. Like, this is what Timeghoul is all about. Like, that intro sets it up, and then just boom, Timeghoul unleashes everything they have at you full speed, and now you are flying through the speed of light through Tumultuous Travelings. So the first song, Rain Wound, is very awesome and very unique. And it's a pretty straightforward song, but it kind of sets up what the album has to offer in terms of riffs and technicality and stuff like that. So the first song, Rain Wound, is really awesome. And the second song is titled The Siege. And The Siege is really cool because it features these clean guitar parts and a really intricate songwriting structure, which is obviously seen throughout the rest of Timeghoul's discography. But The Siege is a prime example of the creativity and the limitless that death metal has to offer, because The Siege combines all these elements of doom, of sheer aggression, and then they hit you with these classical-esque clean vocals with these beautiful harmonies that just are so eerie and they're executed so perfectly. And this is another song that's just drenched in atmosphere, from the lyrics that set up a medieval siege over a castle. Timeghoul delivers an awesome and very atmospheric songs. Everything they do seems to be very thoughtful, from the vocal stylings where there will be switching from clean vocals to gutturals like in the same passages. Everything is very well thought out. And another thing I think is worth mentioning in this album that seems to be understated, at least from what I've heard, is the grindcore elements in this album are very relevant. And when most people think of Timeghoul, grindcore is one of the few things that may not come to mind. And this is by no means a grindcore album whatsoever, but there are grindcore tendencies and parts, and coupled with the crummy production, like it just makes Timeghoul that much more awesome, for lack of a better words, because the grind parts with the fast parts just create this whole chaotic sense that adds to the whole space and cosmic and thematic approach that Timeghoul takes to death metal. So those little sprinkles of grindcore really add a lot to the music. And then the third song on here is called Gut Spawn. And this is the song that got me into Timeghoul. It's the first song they wrote. And if I recommend checking out one song from the first demo, I would absolutely recommend Gut Spawn. This thing is a whole just attack on all your senses, a pure old school sound just delivered straightforward with riff after riff after riff after riff. And it's just so fast paced and awesome. And the lyrics on the both demos, the lyrics are phenomenal, creative, and unique, but especially the song Gut Spawn. I want to read some of those lyrics because it's some pretty awesome stuff. Straight out of Dungeons and Dragons, Gut Spawn. In the land of aberrations, through the Versian mountains, birthplace of the Gutspawn nation, their evil kings, a bloated creation, stomach with a mouth, liquefying crematorium, he ingests the dead for incubation, in the gut starts the deformation. And if you look at this song, it's a bit of a lengthy song, 5 to 6 minutes, but it covers like that entire vertical space of lyrics. And Jeff Hayden, the vocalist, is just singing so fast, so fast. He's just spewing out words in this song. And I think it is one of the coolest things I've ever heard in death metal. The way it just sounds like the words are just oozing out of his mouth and blabbering out. He's going so fast. This song just gets me so ramped up and going every time. It also features some more melodic and cool passages. And there's just some really awesome, unique, and very weird ideas that go on in the song. But all in all, it really encompasses a pure old school attack, which I absolutely love about Timeghoul. Also, another thing worth noting, um, when I listen to music, sometimes I just try to guess the band's tuning to improve my pitch or just for fun. So when I first heard Timeghoul, I was like, huh, I was listening to Gutspawn, and there were some parts where I'm like, that sounds like they're playing in B standard. And usually I'm right when I guess. And I did some more research and saw in an interview that they play in E flat. So I was like, how can I be so off? But taking to listen to it more, the one thing besides heavy production is they set up the riffs so well. So they use a lot of like everything's relative to something else. So they'll be playing riffs that are pretty high just to set up their super low parts that make the low parts just sound even lower and stuff like that. And then the last song on the first demo is called Infinity Coda. And this song is super cool because it showcases the technical and the trippy and psychedelic side that Timeghoul has to offer. There's a lot of cool riffs that go on in this song. The chorus is super catchy, which is another awesome thing. And those four songs make up the Tumultuous Travelings demo, which is very awesome. But the Panoramic Twilight demo is half the songs, but about the same length. And I say it's even better than the first demo because, my God, those two songs just take everything I love about death metal, put it in one place, and just deliver an awesome, awesome sound. The first song on the second demo is called Boiling in the Hourglass. So, not to mention one of the coolest song names I've ever heard in my life. Boiling in the Hourglass starts off with some weird sounds. You get a trippy guitar riff, and then you get this like electronic weird bloop, like the it sounds like the Windows theme when you boot it up a little bit, and then it just hits you with this atmospheric riff, and you get these crazy clean vocals, and you just get the feeling that you're like hovered in space, lifeless, and you can see all the grains of time going by. And then right when you think it's all calm, they hit you with this suffocation-esque riff that is just crushing, this verse riff, which will pummel you down to the ground. And that's when the verse starts. And they take this all the way down, and they break it down again with more melodic stuff, odd time signatures. Timeghoul is throwing at you everything they have in their book, and more. This song is just one of the coolest things I've ever heard in death metal. It's elaborate, but at the same time, it's straight to the point. There's no nonsense. Everything Timeghoul does is thought out and has a very specific purpose for the listener. Jeff Hayden, in his interviews, he says he's very classically inspired. And at first, I was a little unsure what he meant, but I was listening to one of his recommendations. He said who he was inspired by on one of these interviews, and the first thing I clicked on, boom, there was the exact classical Timeghoul clean vocal harmony. I was like, wow, and I just think that's super unique and interesting to see in death metal, and they do it perfectly. And this brings us to the last song out of the demos, titled Occurrence on Mimes. And this song is really Timeghoul's grand opus. And it's very fitting that this is the last song on the album, because I would say it is absolutely the best. The lyrics on the song are awesome. It tells a grand tale of Earth's war with Saturn's moon Mimas, and the destruction and demise which would later become of planet Earth. And the clean parts in here are super cool. The vocals, they continue doing that clean vocal approach, but also there's some of the most epic and just eerie riffs on here. The intro riff, they have these crazy like 3-part guitar harmonies. Like one's doing power chords, one's doing suspended chords, and one's doing single notes, and it just creates the most atmospheric musical setting that I can think of. I mean, they really nail this cosmic approach down very well. And not to mention, it's definitely worth mentioning, this Mark Riddick artwork is absolutely phenomenal. If music could make a picture, it would be exactly that, and that's how you know the artwork is done spot on. So here's the original artworks for the 2 demos, which are cool, but I think the Mark Riddick artwork is absolutely awesome. So, continuing with Occurrence on Mimes, this song is the longest that Timeghoul's done, and they really just take you through all these wonderful motifs, these riffs that break it down. They're heavy, but they're also melodic. And then at the very end, there's a clean vocal note, and there's just this 1 count on the hi-hat. And to end this off, just icing on the cake, they rip into this like crazy breakdown, like nearly like not slam, but suffocation style, super heavy breakdown. And it's awesome because when I was first listening to this album, I was like, this is phenomenal. This is everything I want. But can I have one breakdown? And I thought at the end, I was like, oh, well, I didn't hear it. And then I just hear dun, 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 and there's this super heavy, crazy breakdown on Occurrence on Mimes, which is the absolute best way to end this compilation. Now, it is sure a shame that Timeghoul never released any more studio material or never did a full length, but I think that's what makes Timeghoul so special. There's 2 demos, there's 6 songs, and these 6 songs, it's so crazy how Timeghoul has made a huge impact on death metal still to this day. You have bands like Blood Incantation that are super influenced by Timeghoul, and these 6 songs made such a lasting impact on music history. I think that is very cool. So if you have not heard this release, I would highly, highly recommend checking it out. I'm going to rate it a 9.5 out of 10. I'm reviewing it as an album, so the 2 demos are combined. So I give it a 9.5 out of 10. Right now, that's all I've been listening to, and it's definitely going down in the books as one of my favorite death metal albums. So that's all I got to say about Timeghoul's 1992 through 1994 discography. Check it out. If you want a vinyl copy, The Crypt still has some available, so get it while you can, because I know those will sell out pretty soon. So anyways, thanks for watching. See ya.